Now I would like to request Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya to kindly felicitate Amit Rastogi ji. Sir, please come on dais. Very Sujit. I would like to request Dr. Vipin Kumar to kindly felicitate Amit Rastogi ji. Yes, sir. Sir, coming. Now I would like to request Dr. Sandhya Lakshmi Narayan kindly felicitate Dr. Soma Chattopadhyay. Ma'am, please come on dais. Now I would like to request Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya to kindly felicitate Dr. O.P. Sharma. Sir, please come on dais. Now I would like to request Dr. Sandhya Lakshmi Narayan to kindly felicitate Dr. Preeti Jain. No? Okay. Now I would like to request Dr. Vipin Kumar to kindly felicitate Sri Sukhbir Singh. Now I would like to request Mr. Avinash Chitij to kindly felicitate Dr. Vipin Kumar. Sir, please come on dais. Now Dr. Vipin Kumar overview the session and welcome the chairperson and experts for sharing their journey. He is coordinator of a CSR which heading the PhD program at CSIR-National. He did his Masters of Technology from IIT Bombay in Aerospace Engineering and PhD from TERI on Sustainable Technology Management. His areas of research are innovation studies, technology assessment and sustainable technology management. A warm welcome to all once again, sir. The stage is all yours, sir, now. Thank you.
Thanks, Namita. So, this session is after lunch session, and it's everybody has taken their lunch, and now it's quite boring. So I'll try to wake you up, people. So a very good afternoon. This session is about the successful models of startup. So we have, in the morning session, we have learned about how the successful ecosystem is built and how India is learning from the other countries also and other ecosystems also, and how successfully India has built the ecosystem. But if you see what is the model of a successful model of a startup, that is, it's a bit tricky question. How a successful model can be built? Can there be some parameters which can be fitted and you can have a successful model? Yeah, there can be several parameters and they are all independent. So it's very difficult to pinpoint. There is no mantra for a successful startup basically, because it's a high risk-taking entity, and risk-taking always comes with uncertainty. So for our country, fortunately, we are governed by a positive thinking government, and we are having several initiatives towards the positive outcome of the successful ecosystem of startups. India's model of successful startup has been characterized by some unique blend of features. For example, innovation, entrepreneurship, and resilience. The country's vibrant startup ecosystem has flourished due to several key factors. And the main key factor is that we have a tech-savvy, large population, young population. We are one of the youngest nation in the world. And therefore, we have, young people who can strive to take risk. And the second thing which we are having, our middle class is growing, and we are there people to spend. So people are there to spend, and people are there to invest in the areas which are unventured. And not only the areas which earlier, let's say 20 years back, there were a few startups in IT sector. But now you can find the startups in every nook and cranny of the areas you can find out. So for example, there was a workshop on startup innovations in IIT Bombay, I think last in the June month. And it was on basically the material science. So you can, and the mining sector. So you can imagine there are startups coming in the area which is unheard of. And I can give you a story about myself. I happened to attend a training program in Japan, in Osaka in 2006. And it was like on venture capital. It was not, even the startup name was not there. So venture capital, training program was there, and the Japanese counterpart, they actually gave an example of Sony Corporation, which was one of their first startups. And Sony Corporation was supposed to have a loggerhead with the technology giant like Panasonic. And what was the niche area which they developed? They developed, at that point of time, only CRT monitors were there in the televisions, and they were all curved. And no company would have imagined a straight, flat TV at that point of time in the 60s. And they brought in the technology, the startup, you can call it Sony startup. They brought in the technology of flat monitor at that point of time. So that made a huge success, and the story, so they were very proud to present their startup during that workshop. And I was like amazed that how these small companies have built that country. And now it is time for India that our companies, our startups are going to build up and develop our country. I will not take much time, and our program is devised in structured in a way. We are having a chairman of NRDC, Commodore Amit Rastogi ji, who will be chairing our session. We have with us Dr. Soma Chattopadhyay, Head of Incubating and Mentoring Venture Center, with her keynote. We have 3 expert talks. Dr. O.P. Sharma, Director, National Center for Innovation in Distance Education, IGNOU, New Delhi. Dr. Preeti Jain, Global Director, Lanzatech. And Shri Sukhbir Singh, Led Innovation, Data Analytics and Management Unit, Smart City Mission. This is how we are going to structure our session today. And I would now call upon Dr. Amit Rastogi. Before that, I would like to give his brief biodata. Commodore Amit Rastogi is the chairman and managing director of NRDC. Before that, he has served 34 years of distinguished service in Indian Navy. Has taken over NRDC with effect from 18th October 2021. The naval career of Commodore Rastogi commenced with joining the first naval engineering course in 1984, wherein he obtained BTech Electrical Engineering from JNU, New Delhi. He is an alumnus of Institute of Armament Technology, Pune, where besides completing Advanced Naval Weapon System Engineering course, he obtained master's degree in Electronics and Telecommunication from Pune University in 1994. He is also a distinguished alumnus of Defense Service Staff College, Wellington, and College of Defense Management, Secunderabad. He also holds MSc Defense and Strategic Studies from Madras University. Sir, I would like you to come over the podium and steer this session. Thank you so much.
A very good afternoon to all of you. I think when there is no echo, that means lunch is working. Okay. So, difficult task to keep everyone awake. So, it means whatever you speak should be relevant, should be short, to keep everyone's attention. And as he has already said, and this is how I was briefed, that you are chairing a session, it means my job is simple. And simple to an extent that I will come, introduce the speakers, talk about them, give them few questions, let them address those questions, and my job is done. So, bit of confusion on that account, at least on my part. So, and since the previous session went on for quite some time, so one of the panelists also had to leave. So, we are left with three speakers on the dais, or three panelists on the dais. And we have heard about this startup ecosystem in the morning session. And so, certainly one would not talk about the ecosystem per se, but today's, I think, especially the afternoon session, which has been structured around, is primarily on the successful models for a startup. And as Dr. Vipin was saying, that there is no parameter for success. So I would slightly beg to disagree with him to an extent that yes, when we start with any activity, there will be certain outcome, and we peg that outcome in our mind when we start certain activity. So when we start something, we start with certain objectives. Once those objectives get fulfilled, it means then we say that it is successful. So in any case, the startup, I think there is no requirement for me to give that definition of a startup. But certainly, the moot point is, it is a technology-based entrepreneur who is working primarily on innovative ideas or working on innovation. And at the end of it, since it's a business venture, it's an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. He's looking at obviously solving certain problem. But besides solving a problem, what is the benefit for him? And at the end of it, that would come about as to how the solution what he's bringing about gets accepted by the customer and how he gets rewarded back. So primarily the mood, again, I would say the parameter for the success would be that how well his solution has been accepted by the customer. How well he gets paid, it all depends upon what is the kind of business model which he has worked upon. So there are very many factors to this, and I think it's been taught in B schools, it's been taught in entrepreneurship development programs, but at the cost of repetition, I think one can possibly put across few things, especially for any startup when he starts his journey. Yes, there was, I think Mr. Pandey in the morning session talked about that he has to reach out to a student community to tell him that how to become an entrepreneur. So obviously when you have that idea germinates in your mind, or when you ideate around a particular the problem statement, then you work on the solution part of it, right? So the solution has come about, but do you think that you know, when an idea comes to your mind, do you start with a business idea all of a sudden by itself? No. So obviously there is a structured process to this through which you should go, one should go. I think not at the, I have not put it down in sequence, but yes, you have to have, there has to be an USP in the idea what you are proposing, which is trying to sort out a particular problem. What is the USP of your idea? Have you worked on basically some kind of market survey? It means whether there is any demand for this, what I am trying to solve. What is a, I would say, compelling value proposition which I am making through my solution? What is the business model which I have in mind if I come out with a solution, that how will it reach the customer? And I think this also is a part of the theory which all of you would have seen, that the various models, that one is called the marketplace model, which Amazon and Airbnb and all of them are using it. Primarily, they become an entity for procuring and supplying, right? So it's marketplace model. Then you have an on-demand model, like the way the Uber is doing it. Then there is a direct sale, wherein the individual produces it and then he gives it out to the customer without any middleman in between. Subscription model, obviously LinkedIn and all this platform, they are using that kind of model. Freemium model, it means some of it you give it for free and some of it at a premium. So it means these are the things which one looks at when you develop your business model. Or do you simply say that, I have developed a solution, now I'm going to sell it to the customer? No. So it means there is a well thought out process in your mind, worked around these models which I have just talked about, and then you move. Then, obviously, when you start with an idea, you also look at, there is a sample population in your mind that I want to serve this particular segment or this community or this geographical area. But as you develop a solution, you look at the larger market. Is your solution what you have developed good enough for the larger market? Is the infrastructure what you have planned? Is it good enough for producing for that kind of population? So it means the scalability aspect one should primarily look at while you are doing this. I think this was also talked in the morning. The customer feedback is important. We should remain connected with the ground. It means you must test it out with the real people, take the feedback and plow it back into the solution what you're working on. So unless that is an iterative process, so it is, what do you want? We want that the solution what you're coming out with should get accepted amongst the customer. So unless it is an iterative process, that will not happen. And this, because I happen to see some of the, or meet some of the startups during the exhibition time, everyone is quite enthusiastic about, that something like a Eureka movement, that I have achieved this. But yes, one should be happy about it. But at the end of it, have we thought of something called, when we say that value engineering concept, have they gone into it or not? So when you do value engineering, you evaluate various options. So have you evaluated various options? That basically will tell you that, have I considered all those aspects which maybe the customer would look at? So maybe a third party view would be important. While you are venturing out in the market, I think important primarily for you to see whether there is any competing product in the market. Obviously, you want your product or your process, what you have made, to be accepted. So that will only happen if the solution which I am offering is cheaper, better, and it is creating a niche segment for itself as compared to what is already there. So it means monitoring of competitors is important. Nothing happens without finances. So have we worked on all this without taking into consideration the funding requirement? Or what is the kind of financial need I would have when I scale up or during the initial stages? So it means there should be a financial plan built around this, right? I will also talk about, how all these aspects can be taken care of. It may sound big, but for a startup, all these support mechanisms are available through, I would say, the incubation systems which are in place, through government policies and schemes which are available. Important factor, I think, which was talked about in the morning session was regarding regulatory compliances. When we are developing a solution, one is that, yes, I am blind to everything. I have identified a problem and I am only trying to find a solution. Good approach. It means I go aggressive on finding a solution for the problem statement what I've identified. But one has to take a pause. And the pause is primarily that the solution what I have worked out, does it qualify the parameters of SDGs? Because today, in today's time, I shouldn't be making something which is not going to be accepted in terms of policy framework by your community, not only the domestic community, but the international community at large. Because the vision should be that I should serve the humanity all over the world. It is not that I am interested in serving the community only, which is visible to me now. So if you are looking at the larger community, then we need to look at the regulatory compliances as well. So it means there has to be a long-term vision kind of approach. To expect this from a startup who has just started, it is a tall order, but these are the factors I think, in my opinion, certainly should be kept in mind. Since I've got the podium and some few more moments to talk about, one must tell you about NRDC. Because in the morning we talked about how is the ecosystem and in what form and how is it available to a startup. So that is the place where I think Dr. Soyani from CSIR Mumbai also talked about that they have developed a kind of ecosystem where 360-degree support is provided. The similar kind of support mechanism, but through the government portal is available to you. It means the government schemes are available through the portals of NRDC, where 360-degree support in terms of incubation space, in terms of mentoring support, in terms of seed funding support, in terms of your patent assistance support, everything is available to you at one place. I think the proof of the pudding is in eating. So we have one of our incubatee startup who is there with us. Good or bad, I think he will give you the feedback. Yes, it is not world class, but there is a humble beginning which has happened, wherein we are looking at providing all the support what a startup would need at one place. We have also identified certain gap areas in this process of incubation and technology commercialization. It means the startup comes, he gets incubated, he works on his idea, develops the technology. Should there be a requirement of commercialization, it means he should be able to do TRL assessment. So the TRL assessment facility is what we are talking about, IP valuation, technology valuation. As of now, you have to put in money, effort to get that thing done. Primarily when you go in for certain seed funding rounds, there would be a requirement to assess what is the technology level at which you are, so that you can attract more investors. So that facility also will be available. I think we have been talking about IP exchange, we have been talking about patent assistance or patent filing by a startup. But what use it is if it is not put to use for yourself and also the community at large. So how will it be made available to people? I think there was a concept which was worked upon quite some time back, but didn't find much of traction. So we are also, and as NRDC, we are working on something called IP exchange, where the unused patents primarily will be made visible primarily to anyone, because if you have heard of WIPO database, they have a patent to solution approach. Anyone and everyone who has got a problem can look at what is the patent which is available. Someone has got a patent, what solution will it serve or provide? So that is the kind of approach with which I think we are working on. So the going is good, and with the declaration, what I think all of us have seen, which has happened as part of G20, the $1 trillion fund is no smaller fund to be made available to the startup community. And that is something what is, if it comes about in a manner the way it has been put in the order, it will be a very, very happy situation for the startup community at large, for them to grow. Today in our panel we have, I can see, I think Dr. Preeti has also joined. So you may like to, I thought you have taken your flight. Kindly have a seat, ma'am. Okay. So in today's session we have, the quorum is full. So we have Dr. Soma Chattopadhyay from, she's a senior manager from NCL Venture Pune, and deeply involved in startup mentoring, I would say. And then we have, I think we will talk about other panelists after we have given chance to Dr. Soma. So as I have worked it out, I think there is in a panel discussion mode and also an opportunity for you to share something about the work, what you're already doing. So one or two questions which I have in mind, which I thought I'll share with you, which you can address in your presentation. Since at Venture Center Pune, you are dealing primarily with the startup community, and it is a very, very successful, I would say, venture center, and doing very good on the Western Coast. So what, in your opinion, as per the experience of Venture Center, are two main attributes for success and failure of a startup, and what should have been done to address such shortfalls? So over to you, Dr. Soma.
So first of all, Commodore Rastogi, I think you have summarized everything I was planning to talk. So please pardon me to just repeat everything once again. And
Sorry to interrupt.
yes, please.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Now Dr. Preeti Jain with us. Please, ma'am, come on stage. Okay. I would like to request Dr. Sandhya Lakshmi Narayan to kindly felicitate Dr. Preeti Jain. Yes, welcome.
Okay, so let's start. As I said, my apologies because I am going to repeat everything that Commodore Rastogi has already covered. And the mere fact that I'm going to repeat means that they are very, very important when you are starting as a startup. And my talk is focused for those who are aspiring students and trying to conceptualize a startup thing in your mind, right? So Venture Center, brief about Venture Center, it's a technology business incubator for inventive science and engineering startups. We are the incubator of CSIR-National Chemical Laboratory in Pune, and we have been there for 17 years, facilitating almost more than 700 startups. And today I'm just going to briefly touch upon a few basic concepts, principles, and some case studies on how is success shaped in science-based startups from our own experience. So let's begin. Again, I'm going to repeat. So what are startups? Many people are very confused about any new business that are coming up is a startup, right? Is that so? Let's try to understand with that, right? So any business, the main objective, as he mentioned, that it is going to provide a solution to a problem which is a pressing need that anybody has identified in a society. It can be the thela wala, the vegetable wala next to you, it can be electronic store, it can be the diagnostic clinic. Basic objective of a business is this providing a solution to a problem. There's a customer out there who is ready to buy that solution, and there is a revenue generation happening which is going to refuel the growth in the business, and there is a profit generating which is probably taking the business ahead. It can be considered as an engine where you are putting resources in, it is churning out value-added products, and you are getting products and services, and hopefully value of those products and services are much higher than the resources you are putting in, and that's why this engine is moving forward. So there are different kinds of businesses, right? One which is driven by foresight, who looks only at the future opportunities. They are not looking at the immediate opportunity at hand. Your Google, your Facebook, your Uber, your Big Basket, everything is looking at a future opportunity. And they are the most important businesses that the venture capital and angel investors are looking at because they are a high risk, high reward model. Then there are lifestyle businesses, for example, your coaching class, your travel blog, your consultancy firm. They are not really funded by any private investor. They are mostly self-financed. There are established revenue businesses. For example, you're setting up a manufacturing unit, and you will be going to a bank and taking a loan to set up because you already have a committed revenue coming in through purchase order probably. And then there are businesses which has multiple bottom line, where the financing or the profit is not the only motto. There is also a social impact. There's an environmental impact which is associated with those businesses as well. So now coming to some examples, there are 3 examples I have put together, and as I said, there has to be a problem, there's a solution, there's a customer out there, and there is a how the costs are covered, there's a revenue financing model that is there. So there's a packaged drinking water, there's an example of Uber, which is a taxi hailing up, and there's an example of BioNTech, which is developing the mRNA vaccine, which came out during the COVID pandemic time. Okay, so let's talk about, so those are businesses, right? Now, what are startups? Now, startups are that special category of business which are only looking at a large opportunity which is futuristic in nature. And because they are futuristic in nature, it is extremely full of uncertainty and lots of risk. And that's why the startup has to de-risk their business sustainably, scalably, and progressively till they reach a state when the market is ripe and they can get into the market and it will scale very rapidly. And since it scales very rapidly, your returns are much, much higher. And it is that excitement of those returns that drives the entrepreneurs, that drives the venture capitalists, angel investors, any other stakeholders to come and be part of this startup. So just a question, quick question to our audience, especially the aspiring entrepreneurs. Out of the three examples, the packaged bottled water, Uber, and the BioNTech, which one of them you think is a startup based on the definition that I just now gave over to you? Anybody, a very quick question, we don't have much time. Yes, please. Only Uber? Any other question, any other answer? You all think only Uber is the startup among the three examples I gave you? Okay. The water bottle is a startup. Okay. Sorry? Right. So here the startup thing that I'm talking about, they are eyeing at future. Future is uncertain. So that means you are generating a new way of doing things. And a new way is an innovation. Do you think there's a lots of innovation in getting a packaged drinking water? No, it's not. There are so many other ways to do it. And what is the future opportunity is looking at? It is not looking at a large future opportunity. Out of the two examples I gave, Uber and probably the BioNTech are the two things which are actually eyeing at large opportunity and innovation. Why innovation in Uber? Because Uber probably is making a situation where nobody will own a car. You know, you don't find that capex investment in your car is any longer useful. You just have to hail a car, and car is ready to take you everywhere. And as I said, it has an innovation, so it's a business process innovation which is over there, and it's disruptive, high risk, because it is trying to create a completely new way of doing things in our life. And resourcing, they get venture capitalists supporting them, and of course partner, the Uber drivers are partner to that business model. Second one, the BioNTech one, right? What they're trying to do, they're coming up with an mRNA platform. mRNA, I'm not getting into the technical details, but as you know, mRNA actually triggers the body to create mechanism to come out with the immunity, right? So they probably are looking for a system where the human body itself will generate those biopharmaceuticals. You don't need a manufacturing unit out there to create large amounts of biopharmaceuticals and all. And it's a high technical innovation there, it's disruptive, high risk, and costs are covered by grants, by venture capital investment, by forward purchase order from the government or from the strategic partners like Pfizer has come up there. Now, a special class of startup in there is the science-based deep tech startup. They're a special class startup because the kind of risk they have taken is much higher than any other startup. The kind of ecosystem required for startup is to be much more resource intensive than the regular startups that are there, because their opportunities are coming inspired by the developments in science and technology, which is again very, very uncertain, because you don't know when the technology scale up, is it going to have the same aspects as you have developed in your lab scale. Also, it is a very, very important fact to systematically de-risk the scientific inventions, require a lot of funding opportunities, require a lot of support, including IP, including facilities to test out and experiment. So it's altogether a different ball game when we are talking about deep tech science-based startup. So clearly, out of the three that I mentioned, BioNTech, of course, is the one which is being working out to be the science-based deep tech startup. And if you just look at the timelines when they were getting tested, they came up in 2008, 9 or so. That time it is, so your foresight comes from observing these scientific inventions that are happening. And probably you also generate that how they're going to be important. Nobody knew that mRNA therapy or the platform is going to be so important unless COVID sets in, right? So startups are those entities which have those platforms which can just suddenly kick in as soon as the opportunity presents itself. So I was just hearing somebody talking about policies not being there, facilities not being there, references, benchmark not being there. Doesn't matter. You're just doing it because you have believed and invested in that idea. And that idea is going to kick off whenever there is an opportunity coming to you. It is going to be successful at that time. And as you see, there is, parallel discoveries were going on, lipid-based delivery platform and the vaccine, and together they can come out with the vaccine as soon as the COVID pandemic sets in. Not getting in details why startups are important, as I said, it's a high-risk, high-reward model. Any economy to be driven by innovation, it has to be the startups who are core at that economy. So that's why it is important. All your factories, all your efficiency can only grow till you have people, till you have automation. you need innovation, and those innovations can come only for startup. And biotech cluster in Boston or Silicon Valley cannot come in unless the startups are coming together to create that kind of a cluster. And I think India, like a country like India, it's much more needed. And for your innovation and your science to go in use, it definitely has to go through a route where it is able to incentivize and fund your startup businesses. So as just a few quick lessons from COVID pandemic, how startups came up. There, as I said, vaccines came up, the therapeutics came up. From our own Indian startups, there were COVID, the RT-PCR, the RAT test that MyLab came up. Within weeks, they got the regulatory approval because they already had those platforms. They knew there can be an infection disruption where they will be needing those platforms, right? Similarly, the mask, the ventilators, the defibrillators, all came up in this one. So how to get started? So basically, this how to get started are also 10 steps of creating a successful foundation. As Commodore Rastagi has already covered some parts of it, I'm just going to re-emphasize that it's very difficult to say that, yes, this idea will be successful. Yes, this business will be successful. Because finally, the beauty lies in the eyes of the customer, the beholder. We can't say that, yes, this is going to be successful. But as an incubation center, as a facilitator, we can make sure that they're creating the right foundation by taking the right steps towards the right direction. So that's where the 10 steps are. First of all, you have to have a nose for a big foresight, an opportunity for a large business. You have to convince yourself and jump in. You cannot be in two minds that I will do this also, that also, I'll try out. If this works, I will take up. That never happens. As we heard in the morning that you can only be an entrepreneur. You cannot be anything else. So it has to be 100% dedication from you. Second, third thing, very important is create a team. Though your journey is lonely, but you need many, many people to actually take things ahead. Your own skills is not enough. So you have to have co-founders who will be taking things ahead. And then, create sustainable competitive edge, finding a model and all of that. Just a quick example to basically how our startups have done from our portfolio of startup. There's a company called BioPrime Agri Solutions who are working on the next generation bioagrobiologicals for biomolecules to modulate plants' physiological growth. Why it is needed? Because they have a future vision that there is going to be climate change, crops are not going to be resilient. It is going to be needed that the people will require a pesticide and an organic food. So without going into any genetically modification, they are coming up with a product. The two startups jumped in, they believed in that idea. Initially, they raised funds called BIRAC BIG, which helped them to deploy some resources, get the journey off the ground. They strengthened their team. They raised many more funding. There is a lot of funding landscape available. Please avail those government grants, avail those early stage funding that are available to develop your own startup. Right now, they have around 46 team members, 2 production facility, and they have also figured out the right kind of business model. What is the business model going to be? So their business model is they are going to have the R&D in-house, and they have outsourced some of their manufacturing outside. And the patents and all innovations is theirs. They are generating that patents just in order to have competitive edge. And they are going to do sales via direct sales to customers as well as through the distributors and partners as well. And they have gone ahead and raised the venture capital funds from Inflexer and Omnivores and of those kind. Very quickly, I want to touch upon another concept called spinouts. Yes, the spinouts, right? What could be the spinouts are? So you heard about startups. Spinouts are the special kind of startup that emerge from academic and research organization, very, very critical, crucial for a CSIR system, and there are so many R&D organizations. And those are spinouts where the organization holds an equity structure in lieu of the technology, services, or co-founding contribution. And faculty can be involved, students can be involved. And you need a committed entrepreneur technology funding to create such a model. You need lots of policy, institutional policy, so I would definitely urge policymakers to think about these policies while they are creating the spin-off. So I wanted to give some example from CSIR system, but I don't think I have much time. But definitely I would like to present a few companies here which are the spin-outs of CSIR-NCL we have created. This is a silk-based next-generation tissue engineering product. There is a urinary tract infection, rapid, affordable point-of-care diagnostic kit that has been happening. And finally, some quick lessons that please have the courage to walk the path alone. Have some team which is able to support you, and please plan for better execution strategy. So lastly, just 30 seconds, we are an incubation center having supported 700 plus startups, being recognized by various organizations. We offer, these are all our portfolio startup in different sectors. Some of them have raised large amount of funding. This is all we provide, mentoring, grants, funding, and all the facilities for de-risking your technology. These are our partners who have been supporting us. Some facility images, and I'll be happy to connect with you if any of you have any questions or if you wish any support from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Soma. Now we have Dr. Om Prakash Sharma. He's Director, National Center for Innovation in Distance Education at IGNOU. He's a popular science writer, chief editor of Hindi Science magazine, and he's been awarded for SNP popularization in 2013. We would like to hear from him, and there is a question which I can possibly give it to him, is how important is innovation in EdTech? And in order to guide budding entrepreneurs in EdTech domain, can you elaborate on the landscape that exists today, and what are the gap areas that can be addressed by startups? In view of paucity of time, I think if we can possibly cover in around 6 minutes or so.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. My fellow panelists, dear audience, students, and other participants. It's my pleasure to share with you my experience of working in IGNOU on this innovation and startup journey. Indira Gandhi National Open University is the largest university in the world. It has certain challenges and also a lot of potentials also. Challenges, you can see, our students are scattered from all over the country, all over the world basically. They are not with us, they are not in direct contact with us, but the potential is that they are highly motivated, they have their own strength and background, and they have risk-taking capacity, which is, I think, the very important component of any innovation or startup. That I have seen while working in IGNOU. A few years back, I would like to just give you a brief background. I'm working in National Center for Innovation in Distance Education in IGNOU. That center is primarily aimed at promoting, supporting, mentoring the startup and innovation in the university. And few years back, just I came to know that some of our students are doing innovation at their own. That time we were trying to encourage or promote innovation in the university at our own level, means at the level of the faculty. We faculty were doing innovations for the university. Like IGNOU itself is an innovation, you can say, because it is imparting quality education at your doorstep. Long back when it was conceptualized, that time it was one of the biggest innovation. And now, following the same kind of guidelines, we thought, why don't we create a culture of innovation in the university so that we keep on promoting and innovating the ways of teaching, learning, not only in the university, but in the conventional system also. With that objective in mind, the IGNOU established the National Center for Innovation in Distance Education in 2005, long back, when hardly there was a talk about the innovation or a startup. That time university thought of this type of concept, that innovation is going to be a very important component in any system. But later on, when the government and other systems, traditional universities, when they started talking about the innovation and startup among the students, then we also pitched into that. We started working with our students. In that context, first thing was basically how to identify those students. So just to give you a brief background, at present, IGNOU is having more than 35 lakh students registered on roll. So that is our strength, because you can see how many conventional universities can be accommodated among these all students. So if we cater to these all students and look into their potential and strength and their background, because background, why I'm emphasizing, our students are having background of technology, having background of medicine, having background of any kind of background, even the IS, IPS, and all technologists, those all are our students. You can see some of you also might be our students. That kind of background we have. So this 35 lakh students and plus 35 lakh, more than 35 lakh alumni strength we have. And alumni also we have lot of successful entrepreneurs, startups, and good businessmen apart from those government servants. So we thought, why don't we take advantage of this, take leverage of these, their strength, and then try to inculcate a culture of innovation. That we started doing in 2018. And you can see just this is simply statistics, more than 200 MA, BA, diploma, degree programs IGNOU is offering, out of which around 86 are mainly focusing on innovation and startup. We have presence in entire country through 57 regional centers and around 2,000 study centers. The study centers are our colleges and universities of higher education institutions. And at 34 regional centers, we have Innovation Club, and that is primarily aimed at promoting this culture. Because we want to promote this culture not only at the headquarters, through all the regional centers. And for that purpose, we have a certified innovation ambassadors also, who are going to the students, they are guiding them, mentoring them, helping them, and in a way, hand-holding kind of thing that we are doing. And result of that, we see more than 27 startups we have got in 2-3 years. That is our success. I'm not comparing with the conventional technical universities or other universities. You can see the weakness of the IGNOU also, but this is the strength. And this 27 is not a small thing in 2-3 years, but I hope in a coming few years it is going to be very large in number. Prototypes we have got several developed, ideas we are getting generated, patents also. This is in brief statistics which I wanted to share with you. But the ecosystem that we have tried to develop in the university, that is I wanted to share with you. It has certain components, as I talked to you, the creating culture of innovation. For that purpose, the university is organizing various kinds of awareness programs, reaching out to the students. We are inviting the successful entrepreneurs, sharing their stories so that motivating the other students also. This is a kind list is very long. I'm not going to share with you because of paucity of time. Several awareness program, festival of ideas. These are the aspects. They help us in now IGNOU students, IGNOU alumni, IGNOU faculty, and also other stakeholders. They are now talking about the innovation, startup, entrepreneurship. So this is not a new thing for them. Now they are into in this kind of venture that yes, we should think of doing something for the country, for the society, also for themselves. We try to encourage them, instead of asking for job, why don't you become a job provider? So that kind of culture we are creating. And as a result of that, what we are doing, a number of students are coming forward. They are coming with ideas. So we are taking next step to identify such interested students, entrepreneurs, and startups. And for that purpose also, different kind of scheme, maybe the Best Innovation Award, Best Business Idea, Best Startup Award, and so on, many things we are doing. And this is not only limited to the Innovation Award. Award is given to 2-3 only, but we are identifying 30, 40 in every batch. They are the potential budding innovators, and we are providing them regular training, mentorship, through workshop, connecting with the experts from other organizations, with the industry also. So they are improvising their ideas, their business ideas, innovations, and also now you can see today in this exhibition also, I think 11 or 12 startups by IGNOU students, they are showcasing their work, and you are requested to visit them and give your guidance. So this kind of identification of such potential and budding innovators, and then providing them incubation at our level, training at our level, and that training is not a one-time training. We take a group of students and we work with them throughout the year at different levels. like ideation level, prototype level, and then different up to the starter level. And also we try to give them different kind of guidance from where they can get funding, whom should they connect with, so that they can some other kind of guidance or other things that we are doing. And along with that, we are doing innovation at our level also. Because our center, National Center for Innovation Distance Education, is aimed basically to do innovation. We did a lot of innovations for innovative ways of teaching, innovative ways of providing support to the students, using technology, involving the available resources that we have doing. And because our system is innovative and also very big, catering to a large number of students, large number of alumni, large number of other stakeholders, so we have to re-engineer our processes also, using the technology. That our center on IGNOU is doing, and many things are for that purpose. For idea generation, we have idea bank, different kind of idea generation we are doing through brainstorming. We take any topic and then discuss over that, generate ideas, and then try to work upon those, what kind of ideas can be implemented. So that we are doing re-engineering and finding innovative solutions. And I would like to suggest you that it's very important to document the innovations or innovative practices. And that IGNOU is doing. And result of that, I think many of our students, they told me that whatever documentations we shared with the people like you, they got information, they got some calls from them, so that not only they are being encouraged, but their work is also being recognized. So that documentation and dissemination we are doing, and it is very important part of any innovation ecosystem, and it's a very integral component of IGNOU's innovation and startup ecosystem. And certainly the networking, and today's program is an example of that networking. Our students might have been benefited, and you also might have contacted them. They might be useful to each other. So that kind of mutual networking we are doing with the organizations, with the academic institutions, industries, and other organizations. So this in nutshell is the thing that we are doing. As far as the edutech innovations are, or startups are concerned, our students are also recognizing the problems of the students. For example, today in this event also you might have seen, there is a Skill Bharat startup. That Skill Bharat startup is an initiative of IGNOU student. Why that has come? Because now in the present context, all of us require different kind of skills. That skills cannot be covered by the conventional system. This we'll have to agree. We'll have to find innovative solutions. So that way, the Skill Bharat. Yes.
I think we are running short of time. You may have to.
Thank you.
Cover in another.
Yes.
30 seconds.
Yes. So that kind of edtech startups we are supporting. Our students are coming up with that innovative ideas. Counseling and mental health related edtech startups are also. So this is all that IGNOU is doing. Lot is to be discussed, but because of paucity of time, thank you very much to the NIScPR also giving us this opportunity to share my ideas and also provide a space to our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, I think the time is limited. Thank you, Dr. Om Prakash. We heard a brief resume of activities which are happening at National Innovation Center at IGNOU. Now I will invite Dr. Preeti Jain. She is a global director at Lanza Tech, primarily a carbon recycling technology company. Dr. Preeti Jain is a member of National Task Force Sustainable Aviation Biofuel, and she has a global experience in refining petrochemicals and alternate fuel. The time again is limited, and the question which I can give it to you is carbon recycling and carbon capture being niche technology areas addressing SDG and concern for climate change. What are the possible gap areas in this domain which can be an opportunity for startups, and what should be the strategy? Thank you.
Thank you, Session Chair, my fellow panelists on the dais, dignitaries, and my dear students. When I was being told to be at this event, and I said, why not? Because I was on that side of table. In fact, many of us were on that side of table when we started our journey. And it's always a pleasure to come back to young India, I would say, and share what we have been doing at LanzaTech. And so in next 6 minutes, I will try to share a story of last 17, 18 years, which we have been doing at LanzaTech as a startup. We started as a startup, and our success story can be shared in one single line that recently we got $500 million investment from Brookfield to invest in LanzaTech technology-based project. You may ask what we do, what was our idea that took us this close to 2-decade long journey to commercialization. You can see on this picture, the picture is from our plant, and the other picture which you can see in terms of products, mobile covers, exercise tracks, they all are made out of waste carbon based out of our technology. So our technology vision is very simple. Don't take the carbon, fossil carbon below the ground, take the carbon which is in the waste products, agri residue, municipal solid waste, industrial emissions, and recycle that and reuse that to create a circular economy. I don't need to go here, but I think we all know that climate challenge is a big issue which world is grappling today. If we are not going to take any action, I think our existence is right now in questions, and COP28, which will be in November, will show us further direction what should be done. It also means that we should be mindful when we use fossil carbon. That's exactly this company was being conceived, and we started our journey. But carbon is everywhere around us. You take the emissions coming out from the industrial mills or factories, steel mills, refineries, and we also have carbon in the waste product. We thought, can we use that carbon to make all of these products? The products, the dress which model is wearing, the shoe, the fuel, sustainable aviation fuel in the plane, all of that in this picture which you can see is made out of waste carbon based on our technology. It is very important that we decide today from where our carbon will be coming from, because that is going to decide your climate future. If I share our journey in this picture, you can see from where we started in a small lab and a pilot plant, which I'm sure many of you will be working. And you can see our journey, which is our lab. You can see scientists in our lab, and our first commercial plant in China, which came online in 2018. By the way, this is the person who is the co-founder of our company, and you can see the small bag. He is carrying in that bag sample of emissions, which is basically off gases, which we convert into sustainable ethanol based on our technology. In this picture, we all, if we are talking about startup system, we heard your view also, how financing is important. So in this picture, I want to show, almost 17, 18 years old, investment is very important. You asked about the question, what is important for a startup system? I think not just belief for the person who is making that startup begin, but also the strategic and financial investment in a startup is very important to make it successful, besides having a great team. Vinod Khosla, I think many of us know. He started his career from IIT. He is an investor in our company. You can see this is a small lab. Today we have 300 plus scientists, one of the best brains in our company, but that was a small, humble start we began with. What we did was, in this slide, I want to take 30 seconds. In 2005, we had first pilot plant. We scaled up that plant further in 2008 to 30x, and from 30x to 130x. And 2018, we had our first commercial plant. But please understand, all these work require money, talent, as well as access to resources. So in parallel, it's not just about being technology and technology readiness level. It is also about continuous work with the stakeholders, policymakers, to make that happen. We were also able to set up world's first biofoundry. Biofoundry is basically where you take various biocatalysts. In our case, it is bacteria, and you create different strains to enable this biotechnology-based process. And we also worked with different governments. So essentially, I can say, for a startup, there is a very important term called valley of death. We were able to overcome that valley of death. Some of you may ask what our technology does. I can quickly share with you. We take waste carbon. When I say waste carbon, emissions from steel mill gases, refinery off gases, or the power plant off gases. And that carbon-rich gases can be taken by our technology and convert that into ethanol. But you can also use agri residue, municipal solid waste, gasify them, convert into carbon-rich gases having oxides of carbon, and convert that into ethanol with our process. From that startup in 2018, then 21, then 22, we were able to have 3 commercial plants in China utilizing steel mill off gases and ferroalloy off gases, 48,000 tons capacity. We didn't stop there. India is a place to be, right? Not just because of the talent, but because of the vision and big market. Panipat, Indian Oil, I think name doesn't need any introduction. We have a great supporter and investor in the form of Indian Oil, and Indian Oil has been supporting our venture in India. They invested in world's first refinery off gas to ethanol plant, which is in the advanced stages of commissioning. In fact, yesterday I was at Panipat at the same plant, and this plant is up and in the commissioning stage for running. In 23, ArcelorMittal, again the name doesn't need any introduction. They set up our technology-based plant, which came online in 23, and we also had another plant in 23 in China. This is the spread in last 16, 17 years of our technology. Different feedstock, different regions, different partners. So robustness of technology and the adaptability of technology for various feedstocks we were able to establish, which is basically a culmination of policy support, financial support, and investors and strategic partners' confidence in you. If I'm talking about ethanol, I shouldn't be leaving sustainable aviation fuel. I think I started with the climate change. Decarbonization is the biggest opportunity in front of industry today to decarbonize. And aviation sector is also under the pressure. So we also have another company called LanzaJet. That, by the way, also was was developed by us. And they are also making sustainable aviation fuel using their technology. And in this picture, you can say that is the first plant. But to reach there, we had to go through almost 10 years of research, patents, and then getting the certification to be there. I think this is the second last slide, which I want to show. As a startup, your vision shouldn't be what I can deliver today or 5 years down the line. As a startup, you should also be seeing in future how the industry will be taking place. That's what we have been doing in this slide. You can see we call these product called Carbon Smart. So what we are doing here, we are taking waste material, feedstocks, which you are seeing on this slide, with our technology that can be converted into ethanol. And in this room, I think many of us know, ethanol, when you take the water out, is ethylene. So almost 50–60% of polymers which we may see around are made out of ethylene or propylene. So taking that ethylene, we are working with all these brand owners you can see on the slide, Zara, Lululemon, Unilever, many of these names which I can share with you after the session. And all the products which you are seeing, these products, by the way, have been made. Just imagine, in a steel mill in China, emissions is going in the sky. We captured that emissions, made ethanol, and from ethanol to these products. Just imagine tomorrow everything around you can be made out of the waste carbon. That's the future we are trying to create. So to conclude, what we need to do, I think as a startup, you need to believe in your idea, because if you will not believe in your idea, no one will believe in your idea. And second thing as a startup is don't take no for an answer. Many people will say, no, it can't happen. No. But we will say, yes, it can happen. You have to be persistent and you need to have patience. So it is time to rethink carbon. Many of us go out and buy product. So next time you go out, just try to see from where this carbon is coming out, because it is time for us to rethink carbon. Every waste around us, all the waste which I shared with you in my discussion, you can see on this slide, is not a waste. It's a valuable feedstock which can make product. As you can see on the slide, different products you can see on this slide, they all can be made. So probably think how there can be urban oil jungles in your cities, how there can be distributed model of production in a rural area, which are, by the way, not benefited by the industrial manufacturing. and we can create a new circular economy. Because as a startup, I think, again, I'm saying this thing, you never change the things by fighting. You change the things by creating a new model. So probably once we all go back, not only we be cognizant how we use our carbon, but we also be more, perseverant in our belief that we can create these new business model. That's what we have been able to do at LanzaTech. And recently we also got listed at the NASDAQ. With that, I would like to conclude and will be happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Preeti, for taking us through the journey of LanzaTech. Very, very inspiring indeed, no doubt. We have the last speaker, Shri Sukhbir. He's a lead innovation in Smart City mission of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And he has worked on engineering innovation ecosystem in smart cities. And they've implemented a city innovation exchange and national innovation marketplace. So we would like to certainly hear from him, since the time being short, that he can share his experience regarding this nuances of your city innovation exchange and how can startups benefit from this.
A very good afternoon to you all. Always difficult being the last speaker on the panel after such heavy-hitting performances, but I'll try to do my best. In the morning when I came to the workshop, the question sir asked me was, what is the topic of your discussion? And just like a startup, I came in here thinking that I'll talk about smart cities and innovation in smart cities, but essentially how do you build marketplaces for innovation? And what is a startup to us? So what I'm here going to talk about is how can we build cities as sandboxes for innovation? How can we gather better data on startups? And essentially, what is a startup? Is it an experiment that gathers data on how users respond to innovation? How do you de-risk technology? Going forward, I want to set this in context of India. And so a startup fundamentally does two things. It manages technical risk in terms of engineering risk or scientific challenges. It also manages marketplace risk. So how do you take your product to the market? What kind of IPR protection do you need to take? What kind of team you need to build? How do you build finances? So in the context of India cities, if anyone knows how many cities there are in India, so in the Smart Cities mission, we're building up 100 cities as lighthouses, but there are over 4,500 cities as per the legal definition of a city. And the challenge we face is immense, right? The construction sector, if you look at it, the life cycle cost, 40% of your energy consumption is going into the construction sector. That includes your cement, your steel, and right down to mobility and moving the bulk waste around. And that's a good segue into my waste point, that the construction waste itself is 25% and we do not have the right technologies there. And going to air pollution, the cost to the economy, that's around 80 billion per year. And we're looking at healthcare costs, we're looking at premature mortality, and also reduced productivity. So Indian businesses and the Indian economy's competitiveness suffers when challenges like this, what we call negative externalities of innovation or urbanization happen. But there's also hope, right? If we look at the data that is, what does it tell us? The kind of investment that we've seen in climate technologies in India, it's mind-boggling. If we just look at the number for sustainable mobility, the numbers nearly doubled in just 6 months of 2022, what was there in 2021. So how do we build up on this, right? Now, what have we done at the mission? So I spoke about the marketplace. Now, when we speak of the marketing risk, how do you take your product to the customers? Cities, when we speak of them, they're very diffuse customers. There are nearly just about 100 of them when we speak of the Smart City mission. So we built a marketplace platform that's called City Innovation Exchange. There are around 950 innovators today And then what we did is we brought out a guideline that how do you structure a process of how do you measure the risk around a technology solution, because a lot of these technologies, especially deep tech, are very, very nascent. And there's not enough performance or parameters, as Chairman parameters for success, as Chairman Sir spoke of in the morning. So that structured process we issued in the form of a guideline to all 100 smart cities. And as on date, all 100 smart cities are part of this marketplace, along with 3 district administrations also. So what is this marketplace actually doing? There is innovation supply, that is startups and the incubation ecosystem and our scientific institutions. And then in our context, there are the innovation consumers, which are various cities. And we matchmake between these innovation supply chain and the innovation consumers. And how is it that we do that, right? So the platform acts as the backbone. This is where all the interactions between the cities and the startups take place. So the big problem of information asymmetry. Now, as a startup, if you're building your product, what do you actually build and how is the user going to respond for it? We solve it at the first step by promoting what we call the problem statements on the challenge. Now, these on the platform, as in date, we have around 160 challenge statements from cities that are enriched with data. What is the extent of their water pipeline network? How many waste vehicles are they using? How many of them are equipped with GPS tracking systems? All of that data is the first thing that we provide on the platform. Now, also the aspect of co-creation. So we would have heard of open innovation in the context of Google, right? The open source software market. Now, how do you leverage that data and that feedback loop? All cities have a city data officer appointed, as well as an India Urban Data Exchange that we built as part of the mission. Now, all of this data becomes available to a startup as soon as it participates in this marketplace. And finally, when I speak of a sandbox or a test bed, what we've done is we opened up these 100 cities as test beds. All 100 cities have been now mandated as part of the mission ranking framework to issue one work order to a startup. And what it essentially does is that it generates data on the business model of the startup. That's a big challenge when you're scaling your startup product. So when I spoke of the platform momentum, there are nearly 1,000 startups now. These have cataloged 280 solutions. So we also have startups that are, so one general purpose technology being AI, that I'll take you through some of the case studies that we've seen and what has worked. And so AI can be used to solve multiple problems in a city, and we'll see how that is coming. And cities, of course, have cataloged around 160 challenges that are facing and they wish to solve. Now, when I spoke of the pilot process, how does it work? Now, the startups start cataloging their pilotable solutions on the platform. Now, as part of the guidelines, the cities can grant up to 5 lakhs to an individual startup for piloting. And this is in addition to the regular tender process. So it's a much faster, accelerated process to work with the government than you would have seen by now. And it's already being scaled up by the state of Gujarat, and it's also been adapted. It's learned from the best policy practices since we spoke of policy in the morning. And then post this pilot, the city can also identify convergent funding if it wants to pipeline more funding, and we'll see more examples of that. Once this pilot is complete and the startup's solution is seen successful in the testbed environment of the city can give a direct order of 20 lakhs. And that is essentially a timeline of 4 to 5 months. You have a direct order within the platform. Now, this is the longer breakdown process. What I'll highlight is 2 things here. Now, typically in the government system, it's very difficult to, if you've developed an innovation, it's very difficult to talk to an institution and get it to pilot. We've institutionalized that process. If you look at 2A, there's something called an unsolicited proposal that we built. Now, on the platform, you can go to any authority that is on there on the platform, and you can submit your proposal to pilot. I'll explain the mechanics of it later. And then at 7A and 7B, if your value is below 20 lakhs, then you can go for a direct procurement. And if it's above 20 lakhs, there's something called the bid challenge process, which you can take up to any financial value to procure the solution from the startup. I spoke about the pilot process, and at 4A, there's also something interesting called a qualified solution. Now, what happens in a qualified solution is that well, you don't want to pilot your technology endlessly, right? At some point, the technology is going to standardize. It's going to approach a mature technology readiness level. So once you've done 3 successful pilots in 3 smart cities, you become a qualified solution. Now, if you go to a 4th smart city, you don't need to do a pilot. You can get a direct work order of 20 lakhs. So that really helps scale up the technology. So when I speak of building cities as sandboxes, we also ensure the scale up is built into the process once you're past the sandbox stage. Some key definitions here. Any SPV or Smart City Authority can be taken up. I think the definitions of startups we've heard since morning, so I wouldn't go deep into that. And of course, incubator accelerators are well known. The thing I want to focus here on is internal innovation committee. Now, something that we don't talk about often is that there is the innovator's dilemma, right? Now, why is it that automobile companies could not build electric vehicles? They had the resources, they probably had better access to technology. An innovator's dilemma is when the incumbent faces a challenge to his existing business model, when he sees a disruptive innovation. When we hear of Google and ChatGPT today, it's an innovator dilemma which is playing out. So you need certain capabilities on the consumer side to even understand and view innovation as positive. And that's where these internal innovation committees come in. This is a 5-member body that we're creating at every smart city, and we've built these in 20 cities. Now, on why is smart city mission even looking at innovation? Now, what we've seen based on the projections, 75% of the additional economic growth is going to come from cities, and 40% of the population will live in cities. If you look at the number of startups that are founded in India, 35,000, roughly about 50% are in these 100 smart cities. And all of this is going to require significant investment to build the cities of the future. Just one example of sensor technologies, we've installed about 3,200 sensors across these 100 smart cities, and each of them cost about 5 lakhs a year. What we've seen in the innovation pilot that I'll speak of later is we're able to bring down a 30% cost. So more capital would be able to deploy more technology in our cities, and there's also the aspect of how are you going to finance it? Now the government. I think we may have to wind up. Sure. I'll quickly speed along. Now, what do we offer to the cities and to the startups in terms of data? There are so many. There's nearly 1 lakh data sets. There's 1,400 APIs that we've opened up to startups to experiment with the data. So this is data from the electricity network, from the water pipeline network, from the mobility network. I'll skip this bit. Just focusing on the extent of innovation that we're seeking, right? We're using robots to pick out water hyacinth from lakes. We want to transform municipal waste into fuel. I will skip this. One example I'll show here is of a business model innovation that the city of Ahmedabad discovered. Now, we've all seen Uber drivers, and we've also all seen CCTV networks. Now, these are fixed devices, and they're expensive to maintain. Now, what if you're able to leverage the camera device on every Swiggy driver, Uber driver's mobile phone? And what we've seen is in a 5 lakh pilot, he mapped the entire 3,500 kilometer area of Ahmedabad city, and n number of use cases ranging from stray animals, parking, and basic things like broken speed breakers, unauthorized construction. And this is a business model pivot, right? Everyone has access to computer vision technologies, but how are you building the integrations that allow more value? And this is probably one of the most successful startups in the smart city space. We've also started working together with the private sector. We launched a Clean Air Challenge. We saw 4 patents out of this. This is now being scaled up in Bangalore and Gurgaon. Probably the last bit I want to speak of is a little bit more on the guideline part. Now, if the financial value of a scale procurement we're looking at, we've in the guidelines said that post the pilot stage, up to 1 crore is directly from the startups. Then the bit of IPR also, so we understand that the startup's going to invest time and money working with the city. So 2.5% of that value accrues to the startup in case he's not the lowest bidder. I want to show the bit of the platform. So just this bit, the platform is not exclusively open to startups. It's also open to scientific institutions, academicians. So anyone can go and register as an innovator in the platform. You can create a challenge. There are city profiles that are accessible. We see Ludhiana's profile, and one problem statement probably they're looking at right now is for ground penetrating radar. I think that's the one on the screen, yes. So this is currently live, and they're searching for solutions that use drones, they use GPR, LiDAR to map the subsurface infrastructure. So with that, I will probably close. You could log on to the platform, you can access the guidelines there. And I thank Chairman Sir for his indulgence for an extra couple of minutes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, very good evening. Thanks for the patient audience, I would say, who have been kind enough to allow all the panelists to share their views. Very quickly, I would like to thank all the panelists, Dr. Soma, Dr. Om Prakash, Dr. Preeti, and Shri Sukhbir for having shared their areas of work and the domain in which they are working. Dr. Soma indeed talked about her venture center and how the various steps which needs to be followed by a startup who starts ideating, and what are the steps basically which needs to be followed. Dr. Om Prakash gave a resume of activities which are happening at IGNOU and how they are supporting 35 lakh students and what is the ecosystem which they have developed for looking after the innovation. And there are challenges though, but I think with the help of technology, I think those things can be addressed. A very brief, or I would say lucid resume of activities at Lanza Tech, which took us through their journey from of 16, 17 years as to how they built up the company, how it has scaled up, and how they have diversified, and how they have basically looked into the niche technology area, which is going to be, which is certainly a need of the hour, and it is going to remain primarily, which is being addressed by the world community in support of the climate change. Shri Sukhbir talked about the City Innovation Exchange. I think very, very unique initiative, and this is a platform which is available primarily for the startups to participate, and there is a system which has got worked out wherein if you have a solution, I think there is a policy framework which is available through which you can participate in the smart city mission. So with this, I would like to thank NISpR for having given this opportunity to all of us and to interact with all of you, to reach out to you and to be part of your dream in whichever way possible. And I take it, give it to you from NRDC, that in whichever way I think NRDC can help and support the activity, what you're doing, you're more than welcome to approach us. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
So we now wrap the session 2 and we can now begin with session 3. These technical sessions, we have all learned how to build a startup ecosystems and the model for successful startups. Now, it's time to look at the journeys of some prominent startups. For this, I would like to invite on stage Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya, Chief Scientist and Dean Policy Research, CSIR-NIScPR, who will be acting the chairman of this session. Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya is a professor in ACSIR, editor-in-chief of Journal of Scientometric Research. He is a PhD from IIT Delhi, MSc Physics from Delhi University, served as a professor of science policy, JNU, during 2007 to 2009. His research area covers science, technology, innovation studies, scientometrics, and IPR. Sir has authored around 100 research articles and co-authored, co-edited 11 books. He has presented papers at various national, international forums and has coordinated member of various international, national level projects and core committee members of various national, international bodies. Sir, I would please request you to come on stage. Further, I would like to request Mr. Kshitij Singh, Program Manager, Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University, to please come on stage. Mr. Saurabh Mohan Saxena, Director, AHOTS Technologies. Dr. L.K. Pandey, Director, Ananya Seeds. Dr. Ishu Singhal, Director, Medictech, to please come on stage and take their respective seats. I would request Dr. Vipin Kumar to felicitate Mr. Kshitij Singh. Sir, please come on stage, sir. Dr. Vipin, sir, please felicitate Mr. Saurabh Mohan Saxena. Ms. Parmila Majumdar, ma'am, please felicitate Dr. L.K. Pandey. Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya, sir, please felicitate Dr. Ishu Singhal. Now, I would request Mr. Kshitij Singh, Program Manager, Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University, to please come on the dais and be the moderator of this interactive session. The dais is all yours, sir. Please come.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I think it has been somewhat slow and it is, a hectic day for all of us. There are startups from all across India. I'd like to thank CSIR-NIScPR for organizing such an event. The program's name is India's Startup Revolution, Exciting Journey from an Idea to Market. So without hearing the actual story of startup, how they have emerged from being just an idea to the market, this program is incomplete. So I'd like to invite 3 startups to tell their story, and then we can have certain amount of discussion on their experiences. So first one is Mr. Saurabh Mohan Saxena, Director of EHOTS Technologies, Hydrogen On-Demand Systems. Sir, if you can briefly narrate your startup journey. You can use the mic, sir.
Hello, namaste.
You can use this.
So yeah, I can say good afternoon and namaste. So this is as this is a forum of our journey to be explained. So first I would talk about what we are doing. So we are working in a field of hydrogen fuel, and what we are doing is not we are talking of future, which is like 2045 or 2040, but we are talking of now. So it is hydrogen on demand, which is now. So of course sir has just left, but this is a sweet memory which I have. Some of my colleagues are here which are also in the picture. We had a sign off with Indian Oil Corporation as an MOU to support, and yeah, so that was 1 year back, and now we are moving ahead and we have a vehicle outside. So today what I will cover is how it started. In fact, विचार से कैसे वो इच्छा बनी, इच्छा से कैसे वो निर्णय बना, और निर्णय से कैसे वो निश्चय हो गया. So this is how you get to from a basic idea to the market, and basically from an evolution to a revolution, because what we are trying to do is to impact the life of the common people and not only a few. And of course what we want to have a speed, so that is gati se pragati, and of course we'll talk about the details in terms of, and what we want to make is that this should impact a normal farmer, किसान के साथ, जवान के साथ या आम इंसान सबके लिए approach कर पाए. So obviously starting from a concept, being an automotive professional with working with all the MNCs across, I was aware about fuel cells, hydrogen as a technology in early 2000s and all. So but this technology was available, but fossil fuel was always the primary fuel. So what I'm trying to talk about over here as a philosophy, and what everybody in all the labs and all the scientists in the hearts of hearts, we are born with inherent advantage of our past, and the Vedas are there, which are the scientific inscriptions. And what I say is that we have to decode those equations which are written into Sanskrit. So Sanskrit equations have to be decoded. They have to be seen as an equation rather than we just pray and say that, because there are information available, and that's what can be seen, tested, and then made into some of the technologies as well. So yes, hydrogen, we pray the god of sun. Sun runs on hydrogen, Surya Devta, और उसके लिए और भूमि जो है जो जिससे हम आज की डेट में जी रहे हैं, we are a part of that. So hydrogen is the basic element which is being used by sun, and of course there are equations to it based on the power. So fire and water, we keep talking about it in philosophy, but yeah, that makes an effect, and that's water has a lot of energy, and that hydrogen, the raw material is water itself. So yes, saying namaste to the gurus, these are some of the people who have been mentoring, which is very important, and that's a part of journey. So there's a bit of a journey, and there is a bit of a story behind it. So people are helping Dr. L.M. Das, who has done this work long back in early 90s, 1980s, and of course yes, problem of pollution is there. Sustainability goals are there which you have to match, and that's how we are trying to do. And with the journey, what we have achieved is, of course, a bit of a recognition with the help of being at IIT and held by NASCOM, Indian Oil. We were ranked one of the top 10 renewable energy startups in the country. So what we are looking at is a total indigenous technology, make in India, and then market as India. So basically looking for a complete impact which we want to put as a kind of a precedence in front of the world, that we can do it ourselves, starting from concept to market stage. Of course, yes, quality is important, and of course, imagine if we do these kind of vehicles which are parked outside in huge numbers, India will be the first country to do that in the planet. Yes, we should have a first mover advantage, and that's what we are trying to do right now. EVs on the curve, but we're still working on hydrogen, so that's how hydrogen is, that when after the EV there will be hydrogen curve, but we have still started and trying to adopt that as a fuel into the cars which are running on the roads, as well as like the DG sets or any place where the fuel is being used. So we are a company which got established in 2017 as a company, and of course we are growing. What we are doing is we are converting any fossil fuel using IC engine into a hydrogen powered engine which could be used for mobility as well as for industry. And simple technology storyline is that we are eliminating the storage of hydrogen in the whole paradigm, wherein hydrogen storage is safety concern as well as a technological challenge and the cost itself in the hydrogen ecosystem. And we produce the hydrogen and we use the hydrogen without storage. That makes it more easy and affordable, and that is also one of the things which we are targeting, affordability. So we remove the bottleneck and make it affordable. So we have done the trials, we have done the CAEs, and of course I stand on this dais in the technical forum, means there are very good results which come on the CAE. What we are also trying to do is with use of digital, in terms of AI and all, the data is being collected from all the use cases, and that can be given back to the consumer in terms of how much of the climate impact or how much of the reduction in the carbon they are doing, and of course making the use cases in terms of the other, the telematics advantages which generally are given to any consumer. So these are like the frisbees which you give to the consumer. So here we compare the different technologies across. Of course, we hear of biofuel, hydrogen fuel, battery electric, hydrogen fuel cells, and we compare our technology, which is like from the hydrogen fuel cells, is the difference is we don't store hydrogen and we are not using the fuel cell, which will only come when we have to charge batteries and all that stuff. So here we don't need the infrastructure. Infrastructure is like the charging infrastructure or a hydrogen infrastructure or any kind of infrastructure. We debottleneck the infrastructure and we produce the fuel and we use the fuel. So yes, this is how it looks. It is of course green, it is smart, and yeah, that's how it is. So a bit of a recognition from a few of the agencies. We won the Walmart award globally, being the top technology, and yeah, we have been supported, patent is granted, globally novel. What we just found, so use cases are coming in as you have seen, pollution is creating a lot of problems, and there is a ban on the DG sets on the emission side. We found a new use case on a stationary application. It was easy for us to do it because we don't have a challenge of moving things on the road. So, we got very good results, and that's how we can use this technology also for reduction in, fuel as well as pollution from the DG sets as a power backup. So we have been also doing some of the pilots with, the boiler companies. They are burning a lot of, so, there's so much of fossil fuel being burned. And if we can cut even 1 to 2% of that, we create an impact right now, not only in books and only in calculation and presentation and conference rooms. We can make at the place where it is being burned by a fuel which is the cleanest fuel, most abundant element on in the cosmos, which is hydrogen. So yes, these are some of the results in terms of the reduction in pollution, and these are real results on the DGs and all, and as soon as it is being used, it reduces a lot. So yes, we have been, so these are acknowledgement which has come in from a lot of professionals from the planet, from the globe. A lot of countries have seen it at IIT, at IEW, and of course these are the vehicles. One is parked outside, this is the other vehicle which was tested, and some of the people, renowned people from Niti Aayog, Dr. Saraswat and all have seen it, and of course they acknowledge this technology, that this could make an effect. Of course we are looking for paperwork in terms of policy network. We have put it in Auto Expo also, and today here. So this is a bit of a journey which we are sharing in terms of pictures. Yes, EV is there. There is a cost impact which is an ROI, because it is not only the cost which we are paying. There is a ROI behind it because we save fuel. So you have a return on investment as well, and you are becoming yourself as a eco warrior or a kind of a climate friendly person who is cutting the emission. So yes, different fuels. Hydrogen is one of them. GTM is we go B2B, we go B2B2C and all that. This is a long-term plan. So this is economics. Any person who uses this has a return on investment, and these were the questions outside in say 1.5 to 2 years based on the how much you are using it, how much are you running it. And yes, of course, Majumdar sir is there, and NRDC, Indian Oil, and there's a lot of support from all the government agencies in terms of at least acknowledging it. And of course, today on this dais, of course, I present interest is coming from corporate side. So it is a tough journey from a journey standpoint, yes. But of course, you have to keep on going, and I mean, of course, that my team is there, Rajat, Nandini, and also there's always challenges which we are facing. But yes, you have to keep on continuing your journey, and then whole thing is going to follow. Yes, so journey is now we have the paying pilots also from the customers. Of course, to a level, finance also is always a problem, but you have to keep on nibbling and keep on moving ahead in terms of with the challenges. A small team, yes, and their people. Of course, he's not in the organization. I can say Mr. Majumdar is behind the scenes. People are ready to join in, and of course, anybody can join. And that way, of course, their team, which is available with us, working on 24-hour basis. We planned for a gigafactory. Of course, we are looking for money for that. But what we want to make is news from a country level, because right now we are at a stage where hydrogen. We missed the bus of EV, because EV was done by called China was the largest producer of EV in the world. Now we can at least take this chance. Here we have to get together, not as a startup, as an ecosystem. Of course, I am on it, and I am working day and day night. Out of it, I am determined as a rock and as fluid as water, and always smiling to take on the challenges. So yes, carbon reduction is, as was said by the previous panelist, is on the annual, United Nations countries, G20. This has been talked. So, as labs, as policy makers, as, the financial institutions, what we talk in previous sessions, have to come together. And as a startup, of course, I would like to say you have to keep on continuing with the journey, what you're taking on. And that's what we are doing at AHOTS with the team. I think later on we can take any questions. For now, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saurabh, for explaining the startup journey of AHOTS Technologies. I would now like to call Dr. L.K. Pandey, who is the founder and director of Ananya Seeds Private Limited. So you can use the mic.
I just
okay.
Giving me 3 minutes?
Yeah, 3 minutes.
That's great. So, my name is Dr. L.K. Pandey, and just crossing this road, I was sitting almost 3-4 years. In fact, journey of Ananya Seed started from IARI, that is Agri-Business Incubator we have there. Mine company was the first one. So, my story is something, quite advanced stage when I entered the business. I entered the business at the age of around 45 or 46, right? And completing 25 years of my career. So one point I was, that was hitting me, that, collectively all companies globally, all big companies, they are not able to address even 10% of farmers of the world. So we talk about, Monsanto, we talk about Bayer Crop Sciences, and so many big companies. So that's the point, Ananya Seeds entered there. And the purpose was, how to carry on ethical and business and, focusing on small and marginal farmers. We were talking about GM crops, we were talking about, CRISPR technology. But I always found that, many farmers and large number of farmers, they were not having access to even water, to irrigation. Totally dependent on rainfall. So Ananya Seed is focusing on vegetable seeds mostly. 3-4 stories here quickly I can tell you within my 3-minute time slot. One, my first success was alliance with NRDC. So we went to Ghana, West Africa, and put one project for 1.5 years. And NRDC supported us, we supported NRDC. It was government to government program. And within second years of our startup, we got this project, and I think we made good money out of that. So that was one success. Secondly, we entered into training and development facility and program for UP government. So our company is training provider to government officers. So these two things were primary success. Secondary, now we are the major supplier of top 10 companies of country, raw seeds, and they pack in their own brand, and that is beside my own branding. And I have my own story. I am the advisor of, India's largest seed company. I sit in their board also. On one hand, and other hand, running this startup company, Ananya Seed. Now I can't say startup because I almost completed 10 years. It should be in the next phase. Same time I am also supporting all MSMEs, all sector MSMEs. 11,000 MSME members are there, and I am the chapter chairman of Indian Industries Association, Delhi chapter. So, I am trying to handhold, I am trying to support, and I wanted to add here last point that, the benefit, the role of incubation center is very important. And Ananya Seed is highly benefited out of it. In IRI, Ananya Seed is a buzzword, and I got all kind of scientist support, all kind of infrastructure support. My office was 4 years inside Pusa, and that was the first company which was coming up as a startup company. So I think from morning we are talking about the role of this startup ecosystem, role of incubation system. I think I am a live example of this. So thank you so much. And my stall was already displayed. I hope you have seen my product and posters, everything. I am not going to run my slide here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. Now I would like to call Dr. Ishu Singhal, Director and Founder of Medictech Private Limited, to share the story of foundation of Medictech.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Dr. Ishu Singhal. But before intro, I would like to just know about that what exactly the difference between a newly registered company and a startup company. Yeah, innovative component, that's the thing. So, one thing, innovation discriminate. It differentiate. A newly registered company, we can do anything. But yeah, if you are creating something new, then you have to face challenges. So, I am master's in nanotechnology, and I did my PhD in nanobiotechnology. It's our lab. We started our journey by supplying nanomaterials. And the queries were so different. Once there was a query from Ireland, iron nanoparticles in mineral oil. Okay, we can do that. But another query was of hafnium oxide. Now the material, hafnium, to source it and then to make it in nano scale and to make nanomaterials in commercial grade. So you have to, excel. What a PhD student do in 2 or 3 years, he synthesizes 1 or 2 type of nanoparticles and then go for application. We have to do it within 15 days or 1 month, and then we have to characterize it. So it was not possible. We tried, and then we have a lot of our makeshift arrangement. Then we have to keep the morphology of the particles intact. Sometimes you have to do some kind of surface functionalization as well. So all these things come together, and then my father and some other experts, we just came up with an idea that why not to make a platform, a modular platform, where you can change the materials property at nanoscale, so that no need to do that thing again and again. If you need silver nanoparticle, yeah, protocol is already loaded. Just click on the touch screen and you have the silver nanoparticle within 1 hour. Then you can actually focus on the application part. Once we focus on the application part, only then we can dial down the cost of these special materials. And then we can see the actual applications of these materials in our real world. These expenses are so expensive, these materials are expensive. Even Sigma, if you say only few handful of companies are supplying these nanomaterial, and it will save a lot of time in research as well. So, if you see, we have 4 brands. Medic is for biomedical applications, where we are targeting applications of nanomaterials for medical grade. For example, like if you want to conjugate these with some kind of proteins or vectors components for drug delivery and other, for hyperthermia, etc., then you can do. Another brand is Nanocorps. Nanocorp is the brand for nanomaterials. This is the machine we are currently developing. The machine has different components. It is an open system. We have the robotic arms. You can reservoir system is also there, and there are other components as well. So we can customize nanomaterials as per our desired properties, whatever we need. So currently we are into our internal stage validation. So we invite collaborations from NPL, NISpR and other scientists, scientific community for our third party evaluation as well. And our office is in IIT Delhi, and we invite that you visit, and if you can provide us some input and feedback about our technology. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Ishu. We have seasoned startup founders on the panel today. So a few quick points to discuss. The number one is, so once you come up, you can use the mic to answer. So once you come up with some, someone comes up with a unique idea, and they do all the hard work involved, and they develop a solution. But there is no, I would say, government regulatory norm, or how do they approach? So it's a niche area plus a unique solution. So how do they approach the government? What are the bottlenecks you have faced? Very short answer, yeah. And how do you, what are the bottlenecks you have faced, and how do you have tackled those bottlenecks? If you can, provide some brief about it.
Yeah. So when I was working for Ananya Seed, so I was working in a very regulated ecosystem. We have, Indian Seed Act 1966, and we cannot go beyond those limits. So every standard is already, prescribed. So it was quite easy for us to work within that parameter. But second example I can narrate you, when seed industry started working on GM crops. For GM approvals, that was very new. So, side by side, both government was learning as well as industry was also learning. So, both were devising rules and boundaries, and both have to work, together. So, I think in many cases where there is no precedence, no rules, so I think government also start, thinking about it, and start, drawing some borderline. I have very closely seen, drone technology, how, stepwise these are being approved. Thank you.
Any other panelists have a different view on that?
I think, and it's a very valid question. We had a bit of a discussion on policy stuff in the morning session as well. So yes, in fact, as a horse journey, what we are trying to do is like kind of showcasing. So if you are an innovative, you have a deep tech startup which does not have a precedence, what you would try to do is bring that to the limelight in terms of at least the awareness to the, awareness level has to be about the startup, about the technology, about the innovation has to be communicated. So when you do that, of course there's a lot of support, as you took example of, the drones. So that is like a pull because that is being demanded. So same way hydrogen is demanded. Now the use case is different. So on that basis, these kind of forums where you present the technology, passes the, the talk, and then then it is collaboratively, your government is also like a startup into the policy where something is new. So the professionals or the IAS community have to be aware about it. You cannot just keep it and say that I will change the world overnight. No, you have to just talk about it, maybe not immediate as a business, but pilots will be done. People will critically, evaluate it. They will ask so many failure modes in question form only, which will make you better and better as a startup. So, and in the meanwhile, you have to work around with the professional, and that's what we are trying to do. So yes, it's a parallel activity, and it goes to and fro, and that's how it has to be solved.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Saurabh, for that answer. Do you have any other view, Dr.?
Foremost, I agree with Mr. Saxena. The thing for having...
Kindly keep the mic close.
The thing is, actually, Mr. Saxena and we are neighbors. I am on 4th floor and he is in 2nd floor. And once we are
at IIT Delhi,
and then he talked about collaboration. So the thing is, yes, of course, we have to find way. So there is, he wanted to develop some kind of membrane using nanomaterials, and then yeah, of course, we are an expert, so we collaborate. And now we are working on it. There are a few hardships as well, but yeah, we will overcome it.
We are discussing the follow-up here on the stage also.
Actually, 2 hours back, he is grilling me about the progress here, what happened.
So they are talking about some other startup that they jointly want to do.
The thing is that the applications of nanomaterials are huge, but we are not witnessing them in day-to-day life, because reproducibility is the thing. If you want to earn money, then you have to make something, traditional. If you are taking an order of rupees 1 lakh or 2 lakh and investing 6 months on it, it's not running, it is not a very
successful
good
startup.
Yeah, of course, if you have something like innovative, but you can do that again and again and without cheap. If you are making money while sleeping, then you are it.
Yeah, that brings up to the wrap of this session. Thank you, Dr. Singhal, and then Dr. Ellen Pandey and Mr. Saurabh for being on stage. Thank you, Professor Sujit, to chair the session. I'll hand over the session to the next person.
Thank you, Professor Mr. Singh, for I must thank Mr. Singh for, some of there were key players who were there when we started this thinking about it, and Delhi Skill University was one of them. And and many of their students had also registered. Many of them had come also in the morning. Many are we have live streamed with them also. So you see a new type of ecosystems are also developing this Delhi Skill University, and they are bringing many of those what you call handheld tool room training centers together. So we have, so somehow or the others, it would also be the opportunity for you to look into this skill university, how these students are coming up, and maybe that will be an exciting skill sets you can have. So thank you once again to all the 3 of them who are there. I am very proud of them because I have seen how the stalls of yours have been appreciated widely. So with that, we close this part of this panel discussion. Thank you so much for being with us.
The startup journey of Ahods, Ananya Seeds and Meditech were really inspiring for us. So we are highly motivated. These startup journeys has provided us the path on how to transform an innovative idea to market. Now it's time for panel discussion and a quick interaction among all the participants of this workshop. For this, I would invite Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya to be on stage to act as the chairperson and workshop coordinator for this event. Industry experts, Mr. Divyanshu Kumar Shukla, founder, PAPSWAP, Policies Over Politics, Mr. Yash Srivastav, CEO and co-founder, Feeding Trends, Mr. Amit Priyadarshan, Director, Carbonation India Private Limited, Corrosion Intelligence, Calicia Inventions, Mr. Neeraj Mittal, Incubation Head, TBI. Sir, please come on stage. Mr. Divyanshu Kumar Shukla, Mr. Yash Srivastav, Mr. Amit Priyadarshan, Mr. Neeraj Mittal. Who is there? Divyanshu is not there?
हाँ आ रहे हैं वो। अच्छा इनका वो जो पूरा डिटेल जो था वो कहाँ पे था? नहीं वो था ना डिटेल ऑफ द राइटर। ठीक है नहीं जाओ फेलिसिटेट करवाना करवा दो।
सर कौन कौन नहीं है? कौन कौन नहीं है स्टेज पे है? इसमें कौन कौन बैठे सर?
यश
यश है अमित या नीरज मित्तल?
एग्जाम शीट नहीं रखते।
Mr. Yash, Mr. Yash. सही है ना? Mr. Divyanshu Kumar Shukla, Mr. Amit Priyadarshan, Mr. Neeraj Mittal.
मैं थोड़ा एक बार बोल।
जी सर।
I have to use the prerogative of a chair to what has happened is that our dignitary Professor Chin Tan Wang has just reached and Mr. Divanshu is accompanying them. So I also take this honor and privilege to welcome her, and Mr. Divanshu is being requested to moderate this session. Are you ready? Shall we start?
Yes, sure. I was calling Mr. Neeraj.
आप थोड़ा दिव्यांशु जी के बारे में ही बोल दीजिए and then do you want to felicitate?
Let me Mr. Neeraj come on. Mr. Divyanshu Shukla is the founder, PAP-SWAP Policies Over Politics. He is the seasoned and versatile management professional with cross-functional experience of 14 years. He has gained extensive experience in implementing the security arrangements for ensuring safety of the assets, men, materials, sensitive of necessary items, supplies and materials for the smooth running of operations of the organization. Sir, please come on the dais and be the moderator of this event, sir.
Hello everyone. Unfortunately, Mr. Alok Gupta, who was the original moderator for this session, is not available, and that's some emergency at his place. And so I'll take the opportunity to fulfill his shoes. But second, we have been talking about startups whole day, so I don't want to repeat anything. And moreover, I'm not a startup expert. I'm more of a policy guy. I work into the policies, but still, I'll give you a small data that I have worked, that has worked in the Uttar Pradesh. So from idea to market, you have heard about different opportunities. I'll give you the easiest way to learn and to raise money when you are at an idea to a market stage, and that is from the 3 Fs: the family, fools, and your friends. They are the easiest people. You can validate your idea, you can take it to the market, and some data says that most of the founders have raised, 30% of the founders have raised money from their friends, family, and fools. Any entrepreneur that I have seen in past has tried to skip this format and try to raise investments from the investors had eventually failed in future. The reason is that when you try to raise funds and try to raise trust from a very close person, from a very close atmosphere, you do your due diligence on your own. You make sure with the money the reputation comes, and you do not put it on stake. So always try to win the trust of your people around yourself when you are at an idea stage and when you are taking it to the market. Investors, incubators, mentors can all not come, they will keep on coming throughout your journey when you are in your starting phase. That was a small take, and now I would like to bring Mr. Yash Srivastav, who is the CEO and founder of Feeding Trends. It's one of the India's prominent social media platform, and we would like to hear about what are the future prospects of Indian social media platform. We have seen that Indians are taking into UPI, into ONDC, the global level challenge, and what is the next into the social media and public interaction. So I'll welcome Mr. Yash Srivastav here.
Thank you, Divyanshuji and Sujesh sir, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you everyone. Basically, just to answer Divyanshuji's question, why India is not progressing in social media platform and startups. So, firstly, to introduce myself, I am founder of Feeding Trends, which is Bharat ka apna content platform, and every second there are 3 people who are coming on internet presently in India. That is the fast pace that how the digital adoption is growing. And every, all these 3 people who are coming, every second single person is joining social media. But today's, in today's time, the landscape of social media is changing. Presently, people who are coming on social media want to earn from it. Even the businesses are using social media in the form of communicating to the users, because that is the need of present situation. And at the same time, the AI, the chat GPT and everything that is coming is playing a huge role. So what we are doing as a Feeding Trends platform, we have built this platform which is powered by AI, and it is helping people to earn through the content. It is helping them to get the ideas what they can create. It is helping them to create content easily, and at the same time helping them to earn from it. Presently, we have around 50,000 users on the platform who are using it and regularly earning from the platform. Of that, 30% comes from the US and UK market. Not only that, we are also going into the space of businesses, where we are providing this opportunity to government, where we are collaborating with government and businesses, so that the privacy of data can be handled very clearly. And this is what we are targeting, in coming times, such that a platform from India comes to the global level. And Feeding Trends will be one of those platforms going forward, and more people can come and earn from the content each day and every day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
It's really great to hear Yashji here, and good to see that Indian are coming up with their, not only into technology but into basic platforms also while connecting to the world. With this, I would like to call Amit ji, who is the founder of Carbonation India, and we would like to take his views on the subject, which he's an expert of.
Thank you,
sir. Good evening, everyone. So, just to introduce ourselves in one line, we happen to be India's largest petroleum startup, and this journey started in college. I was studying petroleum engineering in 2018, and we started our company in 2018 right out of college. So it does not seem like a great idea to start a petroleum company when this happens to be so capital intensive, and other than that, the entry to the market is very difficult. And I'm talking about petroleum industry as in the exploration and production drilling part of petroleum industry, wherein we drill crude oil. And the idea was a little out of the box, wherein we wanted to produce biocement inside a oil well at a temperature of 90 degrees Celsius, salinity of 50,000 ppm, and a pressure of around 3,000 psi. So practically for a microbe or a bacteria to survive in that situation is impossible, and we wanted to do that. And there was another problem as well. The problem with our petroleum biotechnology startup was that we wanted to start this, work on this idea, but we had no background in biotechnology at all. So I was a petroleum engineer, my friends were petroleum engineers, our college did not have biotechnology. So the journey started that way, but we were able to find a lab, we were able to collaborate with IITs. At present, we have around 23 collaborations across the country and some outside the country as well for technology development and deployment. At this point in time, we have We count ONGC, Oil India Limited, Vedanta, and some other players as our customers and investors. We raised around 2 crores while we were in college, final year, and then we started this company. And we have been very lucky to have very great mentors and supporters with us. And I would like to take a name here, Professor S.R. Joshi from NEHU. He was the first one to believe that an idea like this can even survive, like it can be done. And we had no clue how to do it. We just had an idea, a desire to do it. We were being unreasonable at times. But luckily we were able to do it. And after that, in last 5 years, we have developed the technologies, we have deployed the technologies. Our microbes have survived 90 degrees Celsius inside an oil well, and we have all the certifications for the same. We took one step further from there, and what we did is we started talking to ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, and we proposed them, again being unreasonable, that why don't we do this? We start working on something called sustainable construction on extraterrestrial bodies, and we take Martian soil and moon soil and try to consolidate it using our microorganisms. And if successful, it can act as a method to build infrastructure on extraterrestrial bodies maybe 30, 40, 50 years down the line. It took good 3 years to convince ISRO, but this year in January 2023, we signed an MOU with Indian Space Research Organization, and this will be the first kind of, first project of this kind that ISRO is supporting, and on a lab scale, not financially, but in terms of lab scale. And we have an MOU with ISRO now. We also work in diversified fields in the petroleum sector with the refinery business as well, as in we are trying to develop a technology to detect corrosion in an oil tank. And when I talk about oil tank, this oil tank is a huge tank. The diameter is around 80 meters. You can think of it as a cricket field. You can think of the boundary, it is at 60, 70 meters, right? So 80 meters diameter oil tank, which can have 7 crore liter of crude oil in it, and I have to find one small speck of corrosion that is happening inside without looking at the tank and without using any external hardware. So we are developing that. We are doing the pilots. We are going to do the pilots with Indian Oil. We have a work order with Indian Oil, and we are working with NRDC for the technology development at this point in time being incubated there. So this is our small journey in detail. Last 5 years, we have been able to file for 14 patents, in which 1 have been granted, 5 are in near grant stage. We are hopeful that by year end we'll have all those patents with us. So to conclude, there is a quote by George Bernard Shaw, and I have that in my phone. I'll just read it out to you so that I'll be precise. This is about being unreasonable. And George Bernard Shaw says, the reasonable man adapts himself to the world, and the unreasonable one persists to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all the progress depends on the unreasonable man. Thank you.
Professor Taiwan on the stage with Pramila ma'am.
I would request Professor Taiwan to please come on stage with Ms. Pramila Majumdar.
इनको फेलिसिटेट करना है ना, इनको भी तो करेंगे ना, इकट्ठे करवा रहे हो सर, इकट्ठे ही करवा लो। हाँ, इनको भी बुलाना है, इनको भी बुलाओ, मैं थोड़ा एक बार 2 मिनट कह लूँ, अच्छा फेलिसिटेट करो एक साथ ही कर दो। I just want to give a special welcome for our very important delegation from Taiwan, and just we recollect that a few months back we also met and we had made some promises, and I think surely we will take it forward. What has happened today is that, just to tell you that we had this whole auditorium was jam-packed, and this whole exhibition hall was there. We had these 30 exhibitors here who had been exhibiting right from a hydrogen-driven car to a seed startups to a artificial intelligence based toys, and they have all created a niche market in India and abroad. And so I wish I had the opportunity also to show you those, but possibly what has happened, there is still today many of what our people are stuck up at different positions in the city, and that is what has happened, that many of the students who had come and then they had left on those buses and all. But what we are doing is that we are live streaming all these programs, so many of these will be watched, and so we are happy that our Dr. Rama Bansal and Dr. Mohit has also come. So Dr. Rama Bansal, please have the chair here. Please, please have the chair. Please have the chair. Dr. Rama, please have the chair. Dr. Rama chair करेंगे, हाँ? Dr. Rama will chair. Dr. Rama ऐसे नहीं डॉक्टर रामा तुम ऐसे तुमने कागज रखा है ना, तुम वाला तो हाँ उनको भी करा दो, मैं नीचे चला जाता हूँ ना, मैं अब नहीं करूँगा, हाँ अब तुम पूरी इसके कागज रखो. So I was just mentioning, नहीं मैं नहीं रहूँगा, डॉक्टर रामा ही रहेंगे, हाँ मुझे नहीं रहना, अब छोड़ दीजिए, नहीं डॉक्टर रमा भी दिया, and दिव्यांशु आप बैठ जाओ. Thank you, Dr. Rama and Dr. Mohit for joining in. What has happened was that from the morning we had a huge hall and large number of students and all who had come. But as you know, the students have their own time when they have to go back. So they had come in the buses and all. And the exhibitors had also come. So you may find this hall empty at this stage. But this hall was jam-packed, and we had a very exciting exhibition also outside. And so, and I was just hoping that you will be... Oh,
Dr. Souvik Mehti, please, Director, CSIR IGIB, please sir, come on the stage. Now, I would begin with the felicitation program. I would request Ms. Dr. Souvik Mehti is the director of CSIR IGIB. His research interests are on unusual nucleic acid structures, their biological roles in non-coding RNA, and targeting these entities by chemically engineered oligonucleotides or small molecules. Using a combination of biophysical, biochemical, and molecular biology methods coupled to computational predictions, his group studies RNA-G quadruplexes and their influence on regulation of gene expression and identification of small molecule modulators of miRNA function as potential therapeutic leads. He has graduated with a bachelor's 1993 and a master's 1995 degree in chemistry from Jawadhpur University, Kolkata. He has completed his doctorate program in 1999 in the field of polymer chemistry from CSIR, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad. He is known for his studies on biophysical aspect of quadruplexes, locked nucleic acid. He is also known for his work on silencing microRNAs by small molecules. Dr. Souvik Mehdi. I would request Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya to felicitate Dr. Souvik Mehdi. Professor Chin Sang Wang currently works at the Department of Mechanical and Electromechanical Engineering, National Inland Technology Division of Tepai Economic and Cultural Central in India. He received his doctorate from Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, National Cheng Kung University, Taiwan. His area of expertise includes bioenergy, fuel cells, and MEMS, micro-electromechanical systems, technology microfluidic device. He is the recipient of various honors and awards, including 2020 Asia Pacific Awards, International Inventor Prize by International Fellow of Chinese Innovation and Invention Society 2019, and much more. He has authored more than 100 publications in international journals of repute. Professor Chin Sang Wang So. Further, I would request Dr. Sandhya Lakshmanan to felicitate Mr. Divyanshu Kumar Shukla. Sandhya Lakshmanan ma'am felicitating Divyanshu Kumar Shukla. Ms. Parmila Majumdar felicitating Mr. Yash Srivastav.
I request Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya to felicitate Dr. Ramaswamy Bansal. I'm on the other side of the table today.
All the students houseful, and then the buses went, and we just found that the halls are empty, and our exhibitions were also there. So at certain point of time, and then
Dr. Sandhya Lakshmanan and Ms. Parmila to facilitate Mr. Amit Priyadarshan. Now, I would request Professor Chin Sang Wang to please come on the dais. Sir, please.
Namaste. I'm very happy to see my good friend Dr. Rama and many of the friends from Indian side. Yeah, I'm the director of the Taiwan National Science and Technology, and located in the New Delhi and working in the Taiwan Embassy. Yeah, today is my pleasure to attend this very great activity of the 1 week, 1 day. I think it's very good platform to sharing with the experts from the industry, startups, research institutes, universities, governments, and others involved in the promoting of the network of the startup. I think which is also interesting from the Taiwan side. Now, concern of the new southbound policy of the Taiwan government, the NSTC has long been committed to promotion of this field, but not only focus on the bilateral science research cooperation program, official meeting and the workshop of the activities with India, but also supporting the communication of the academic research institution or the university between Taiwan and India in the fields of the bilateral research cooperation and the training program of exchange. As for the Taiwan side, the 6 core industries based on the 5+ industry transformation program will be promoted by the Taiwan government to enhance investment in semiconductors, cybersecurity, cyber infrastructures, precision health, satellite for 5G, 6G, and industry digital transformation for making Taiwan act as the key player in the world economy. All the names are very similar to India's strategy, like the Digital India, Make in India, and the Smart City. Let's to say, integration cooperation with the India and the Taiwan seems to be a good direction for win-win solution in the future. Based on this concept, many good promotion of the science and the technology between the Taiwan and the India, like the promotion of the startups under specific target, could be expected and encouraged. For example, in order to carry out exchange and substantive cooperation in different fields such as the semiconductors, AI technology, precision healthcare, quantum technology, cybersecurity, renewable energy, and smart agriculture, etc., to drive the development of the Taiwan industry application and the link of the international science and technology, business opportunities, special for links with India. Therefore, our division expects that Taiwan-India cooperation in science and technology research can be dependent and enhanced this year, and also hope to see more cooperation and between the India and the Taiwan. Here, I will try my best to support. Finally, I also hope that today's activity will success and a wonderful outcome could be seen. Thank you, everyone. Whatever, so I think everyone can take time to visit Taiwan. In Taiwan government, we are very high interested in cooperation with the India. Next to say, the IT means the Taiwan, India should be the joint together. Yeah, so I think we should be the focus on the very high tech, like the space, and combine with the semiconductor smart. I think that all the name is very good to India and the Taiwan. So I will try my best to support. This year is my final year. So I very hope to that we have more cooperation. Yeah, and I also very appreciate Dr. Rama. Yeah, well, now we have signed the MOU with the Taiwan Lab. So under this umbrella between the industry, I think it's good to our country, yeah, to promotion the good outcome in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. May I now request Dr. Rama Bansal to say a few words. Dr. Rama Bansal is the head of ISCHAD.
Hi everyone, very good evening to all. And thank you so much, Dr. Sujit, for this surprise. I was to be on the other side of the table, but I've been given this honor. Thank you very much. And I'm extremely happy that I've been given an opportunity to say a few words about this event that NISpR had organized as part of its One Lab, 1 Week initiative, which CSR has taken, which is going on for last couple of months and is likely to conclude this very month. So we are very happy that we are part of this event, and the concluding events are just going to be wound up, and our minister has been himself associated right from the beginning, and in fact, this is his brainchild. When we talk about 1 week, 1 lab, industry, CSR, in CSR, it is Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. So industry forms a very, very important aspect of it. And today's workshop has been discussing how the technologies, the work that we do in the scientific institutions, this translates into tangible outcomes which can cater to the society, which can empower the industry, and also take care of our environment and the global health. What else I would like to say is that I've been told that the event was very, very well represented. This hall is not like it's looking today in the evening. It was full of people in the morning, and it was a real success. And I'm also told that over 25 successful startups, they presented their success stories, and they were well appreciated. And some of the students are still around, and the ones who have attended today this event, I'm sure the deliberations would have been very, very helpful and useful for them to take the path of the some of those success stories that were presented to you as part of this event, and that you also attain the same success. My very, very best wishes to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for gracing this occasion. May I now request Dr. Sauvik Maiti, Director, CSIR-IGIB, to address the gathering.
Good evening to everybody, and I believe most of my audience are from startup. They are representing startup, entrepreneur are sitting, and I represent an institute known as Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology, and definitely it's cater the healthcare of our system. The Genomics Award basically was not unheard, at this moment. But 20 years back, when our institute was newly instituted in 2002, Genomics was a new award. Now everybody we know what is genomics. Now, past 20 years, basically in India, we have worked to come out our first human genome draft, which is very important to understand the first genome. And very late, recently we have completed 1,000 genome, and we are going to complete around another 2,500 genome in few months. So why I am trying to tell is that, what we will do with this genomic information. Now, most of us, we know, there are different kind of disease, lifestyle disorder, diabetes, cardiovascular, cancer, so and so forth. And at this moment also we know that some of the component of this disease are imprinted within our genome. Now, if we need to know that, the early detections of this kind of deadly disease, genomics is one of the important component, and there is a scope of startup or entrepreneur to explore that kind of information to come out better diagnostics for the society. That's the role of startup. So I will be happy if any one of you are interested to understand how you can explore new entrepreneurship in the area of healthcare, definitely, we'll be happy to, from CSIR, we will be happy to extend our collaboration with some of you if you have interest. And coming to the CSIR, it's very interesting in organizations. We have laboratories from chemical sciences to physical sciences. We have laboratories from biological sciences to agricultural sciences. We have laboratories from earth science, and we cover almost 37 laboratories across the country. We have lab in Assam, we have lab in Rajasthan, we have lab in Jammu Kashmir, we have lab in Trivandrum. So it is a good opportunity for startup. Even if you approach a single laboratory with your problem, we have a chain of laboratories which can come out to solve your problem. So feel free to approach any of this institute if you have any requirements of knowledge or some kind of advice or some kind of support in terms of infrastructure, like instrument, high-end instrument which is costly, you cannot afford. There are certain institute who also has incubator center. If anybody you would like to explore to put your startup in incubator center, also you can reach any of this lab. They will put you in the network and get connected. So this platform basically is that platform to give you a network connection of 37 laboratories from different part of our countries of different expertise. That could be biology, that could be physical sciences, that could be agriculture sciences. So success of this program, which we are basically celebrating, each and every laboratory of CSIR, 37 laboratories are celebrating 1 week, 1 lab. That means we are basically showcasing our strength, our achievement, our networking. So one of the objective to reach out people like you, one of the stakeholder, the startup entrepreneur, so that you can utilize our knowledge, our strength for your success. So as a CSIR, we stand with you with whole support, and please feel free to reach us if you have any problem. With this, I wish all of you to great success, and definitely startup always is a challenging job. I hope you will cross this challenging job and will be one day a successful entrepreneur. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wishes and inspiring words. I would now request Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya, Chief Scientist, CSIR-NIScPR, to give a summary of the event.
Thank you so much. This is the end of in a workshop which has taken us to the different parts of the journey of a startup, and how we started with this idea of, as you can see, India startup revolution, exciting journey from an idea to market. And we are trying to think of how to get the people across who can deliver this message to the students, and how the students can be excited about it. So we went across to look not only into the calling people who are from very institutions which are very well funded and they have this strong connect, but also to look at those types of institutes across NCR and others who are in a sense creating a different type of an ecosystem starting together. And so what we had was a sector agnostic as well as a set of universities, colleges across who got represented and who gave our, not only in that exhibition here around 30 startups, but also they were giving us various different types of understanding of how a open university like IGNOU, how it has built up its startup ecosystem, and where around 30 to 40 startups each year they are growing. On the other hand, Delhi Skill University, which has now across 20 colleges, they are trying to build up the startup ecosystem, and their college students were also there. On the other hand, we had IIT startups. One of them, a very interesting, two startups. One of them is the hydrogen driven car. The car is parked outside. And another was a nanomaterials. Who just told his story that how the nanomaterials could be quickly created, and that is an IIT startup. And on the other hand, we had the first seed startup, Ananya Seeds, and a person who was deep into an academics, and then suddenly one day he started that he will put his money on the seed development. And you know that seed business startups are different, but developing a seed and challenging that was another ball game. On the other hand, what we were very excited about, that we were also calling across various technology business incubator, and many of them, Devanshu, and many of them technology business incubators who have creating a different type of putting across. It was not only high technology startups, each of them have their own variety. Some which we came to know across who are looking into this, what you call the rural based startups, technology business incubators, and they had a different story to tell. Then there were another startups like in technology business incubators and policy person who is itself, like I was just saying, Devanshu, who is looking into the UP startup ecosystem. On the other hand, there were those technology business incubators who were hand-holding many of these startups who had come today. So with that, we had at different sessions where we had looked at from the morning session onwards, we had some of the best of what you call who have worked into the practical situation, worked into the startup ecosystem. Dr. Omkar Rai, Executive Chairman of Startup Odisha, and who was actually instrumental in building the technology-based, ITS-based startups in the country and ecosystem, who was the chairman at that time. And then we had from Semtel Avionics Chairman Puneet Kaura, who told us about how avionics and how with DRDO is opening up and how they are getting new opportunities and building up a new type of sophisticated systems across deep technology systems, and how they have now hand in hand and with DRDO and all, and his exciting stories. And then we had the first session of the building up startup ecosystem, where again we had from IIT Bombay CEO Dr. Peony, who was telling us about how when even the word ecosystem, people did not know what is ecosystem, and from there now they are able to give the message across to these students from IIT and the others and these startups, and they were showing those startups. And we also had, as I said, from the IGNOU, we had people from there who were telling, and then Dr. Selva Murthy, who took us into the journey of how that innovation startups he has been influencing across, giving his keynote address. On the second session, where we had models for successful startup, and this was very interesting, where we had Commodore Rastogi, NRDC chairman, who set the stage, and there we had Dr. Suma Chattopadhyay, and you will be proud to know, as Dr. Rama Bansal was saying, that how, and we have this standee also, and how even CSIR and our chief guest, Dr. Mehti, director, was saying that how CSIR is also creating an ecosystem across with the different types of incubations, support systems, and how we are opening up and we are open, and it also gives you the opportunity. The technology business incubators can look into that when they are influencing and talking of these startups. And I know many of you are also connecting to the international agencies now, which makes this an interesting to look at. And then we had Dr. Preeti Jain, Global Director, LensRTech, and talking about carbon sequestration and carbon models and how they were doing. So we had then in this session where I was saying the startup journeys happened, and thus before you had come, we had the panel discussion where again each of the startups, few startups told their struggles and the journey and how they see this, that in the finally when the fruits come and how it is a different type of a feeling altogether. So these were not only motivational talks, but they were also something which they demonstrated outside in that exhibition. So we are happy to have these types of different sessions. And this last validatory session, which is always, in a sense, the book is always best when is the opening introduction is very good and the last chapter is very good. That is what I have always learned. And this is the last chapter, which at a certain point of time I was talking and I was thinking that how we get this last chapter very good. And now I am so happy to say that the last chapter of the book has made this whole, the India Startup Revolution exciting journey from an idea to market. Really we have something to look forward to. And with such eminent persons and with the support of CSIR and the support of our dear, the Taiwanese embassy's strong support and the other supports, I am sure we will have many exciting things to look forward to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for giving us the summary of the event. I now request Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya to felicitate Dr. Pramila Majumdar, Principal Scientist, CSIR-NIScPR. Thank you, sir. Now we are concluding the sessions. So to propose the vote of thanks. So we have special invitees from UNIDO also. Aditya Arora, please come to. Sir, please felicitate. I request Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya to felicitate Dr. Aditya from UNIDO.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So, may I now request Dr. Pramila Majumdar, Principal Scientist, CSIR-NIScPR, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Although the vote of thanks comes at the end of the program, but nonetheless, it's a very significant part. First of all, to start with, I would like to thank the chief guest of today's valedictory function, Dr. Souvik Mathi. Thank you, sir, for gracing the occasion and shedding light on the incubation ecosystem. Sir. Next, I would like to thank the guest of honor, Professor Chin-San Wang, Director S&T Division, Taipei Economic and Cultural Center, Taiwan Embassy. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and sharing your views. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank Dr. Ramasamy Bensal from CSIR headquarters for being part of the valedictory session. Thank you, ma'am. Moving ahead, I would like to next thank the interactive session and panel discussion participants, experts. I would like to thank Mr. Kshitij Singh for moderating the session. Continuing ahead, I would like to thank the panelists of the session, Dr. Saurav Mohan Saxena, Dr. L.K. Pandey, Dr. Ishu Singhal, Mr. Divyanshu Kumar Shukla, Mr. Yash Srivastav, Mr. Amit Priyadarshan. Thank you all, sir, for sharing your inspiring startup journey with all and motivating students to create their own startups. Thank you all. I would like to thank the chief guest of our other sessions. To start with, I would like to thank the chief guest of the inaugural session, Dr. Omkar Rai, Executive Chairman of the Startup Odisha, and the guest of honor, Mr. Puneet Kaura, Chairman CII, Delhi State Council, and Managing Director and CEO, Samtel Avionics Limited, for gracing the inaugural session despite their busy schedule and setting the stage for the workshop. I would like to thank Dr. W. Selvamurthy, sir, for chairing the building up the startup ecosystem and wonderfully handling the session. I would like to thank the experts of the session, Dr. Poini Bhatt, from Cine IIT Bombay, Mr. Alok Pandey, founder and CEO of iTech Group Kanpur, for shedding their light on the entrepreneurship and what incubation ecosystem can offer to the startups. The next session was dedicated to what models for successful startups are. I thank Commodore Amit Rastogi, retired Commodore, CMD of NRDC, for chairing the session and truly bringing out the essence of the topic. I thank all the experts of the session, Dr. Soma Chattopadhyay for her keynote address, Dr. O.P. Sharma, Director, National Center for Innovation in Distance Education, IGNOU, Dr. Preeti Jain, Global Director, Lanza Tech, and Shri Sukhbir Singh, Lead Innovation, Data Analytics and Management Unit, Smart City Mission. I thank all of them for enlightening and providing answers to many critical questions relevant to the startups. Coming to the organizing of the event, I would like to thank, first of all, Professor Ranjana Agarwal, Director CSIR-NIScPR, who has always been inspiring, supporting, and encouraging. We have received her tremendous and continuous support to bring shape to this workshop. I thank ma'am for all her inputs. Moving ahead, I would like to thank Dr. Sujit Bhattacharya, Chief Scientist and Coordinator of the workshop. Sir has been the brain behind today's event. His untiring efforts and never-die attitude has been crucial in bringing today's workshop to its fruitful culmination. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank all the members of the Startup Committee for multitasking in organizing the workshop and contributing as experts and all in between. I would like to thank Dr. Naresh Kumar, co-coordinator of the event, Dr. Vipin Kumar, Dr. Kasturi Mandal, Dr. Avinash Kshitij, Dr. Shiv Narayan Nishad, Dr. Sandhya Lakshmanan, Kirti Bansal, and myself. All have worked day and night tirelessly so that today's workshop could be organized smoothly. I would like to thank everyone on the core committee of the 1 Week 1 Lab for designing and executing the whole of 1 Week 1 Lab program. Next, I would like to thank everyone of the subcommittees of the 1 Week 1 Lab program of CSIR-NIScPR. Each and every member on the team has contributed significantly. To name some, I would like to thank Dr. Meherwan and his team for publicity, Dr. Monica Jaggi and Mr. Ashwini Brahmi and team for print and publication, Ms. Charu Verma and team for IT support, Dr. Naresh Kumar and team for venue and food, Dr. Suman Ray and team for stage management, Dr. Vinay and his team for transport and logistics, Dr. Dinesh Velif for registration and his team, Dr. Neelu Srivastava and her team for the exhibitions. I thank all for putting their all in the task. I would next like to thank all the NIScPR staff, project staff, outsourced staff, and everyone associated with organizing the workshop directly or indirectly in any capacity. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants who have been patiently and wholeheartedly attending the various sessions, which was evident through the questions they have put forth in different sessions. I would also like to excuse myself if I have missed any important names, but with this, I would like to conclude my vote of thanks. Thank you all.
Can we go and see your car outside park? You can also show us the car.